once we have a compost made, it has to be good quality compost. We made this with dairy manure, and it's up to, we analyzed this one, and it's 8.8% humus content. We need a minimum of 3% humus content for the compost extract to be the best. So the bacteria and microorganisms that we extract from it will be available in the soil to reproduce, and by the excretions feed the plants. And when they die, their lifetime is counted in minutes. They become humus as they decompose, and that humus is the true fertility of any soil, the humus content. So we start by having dairy manure in this case, and we layered like a lasagna. We spread it this deep, and then we spread hay that was rotten, double the height, and then another layer of manure, dry manure, and then another layer of hay, up to around this high. Then we wetted it with a sprinkler that we have for irrigation, and put it up into a windrow, a long windrow as high as this building here. And in 2 or 3, it started to heat up, and in 2 or 3 weeks, it cooled off. Then we spread it again, wet it, because it was dry by then. This will depend on rainfall. And then we formed the windrow again, and now it only took 2 weeks to cool off. You dig it, and you feel if it's hot or not. And by then, the ammonia smell started to go away. You can tell when a compost is ready by the ammonia smell disappearing, and it should smell like good soil from a forest, like rotten leaves. So next time we did it again, and in 2 more weeks it was ready. It didn't heat up as much, and it smelled good, so we started using it. Now this was almost 2 years ago, so this compost is the last, not this one, but we have around 10 or 20 tons left, and that's it. We need to make some more. But it's old, but it still has the nutrients. So once you have the good compost, then we use the compost extract machine that I'm going to explain here. Since this compost has a lot of wood and things that were used for bedding in the dairy, we screen it through that mesh, and you can see there all the sticks that we won't use. Then we have this, and we scoop it into buckets. We use 5 buckets of that for 500 gallons. No, we use 10 pounds of compost per 100 gallons of water. And we put it here. This has a mesh. And water from this tank is gravity fed here to wash it. And then we connect it to the positive displacement pump, where it's going to go into the vortex. We create a vortex with a cyclone that is up there. Let me go back. First, we need to aerate the water for 20 minutes in the vortex. That saturates the water with oxygen or air, because these bacteria and microorganisms, fungi and mycorrhiza, need aerobic conditions. If they go anaerobic, they die. So we need to keep the water full of oxygen. Okay, so 20 minutes we circulate pure water, then we add the compost, and we circulate that for another 20 minutes. So all the particles that are too large to pass through this mesh, we can see them here. This is what is left after a cycle. So those particles are too big to go through this mesh, and by doing that, we assure that they don't clog the cyclone up there, or the nozzles later on. Then we add the food source for those microorganisms. We use molasses, and we use liquid fish. Per 100 gallons we use of water, we use 4 gallons of each. And that will be enough for 4 acres. 25 gallons per acre application rate. So that's it. So we circulate it for another 20 minutes, and that's a full hour, and we're ready. This is different than a compost tea brewer in that we don't reproduce the microorganisms in the brewer, but we want them to reproduce out in the field. It can be used as a brewer too, for example, to reproduce Bacillus thuringiensis. That is a microorganism that is very good to kill armyworm or caterpillars. It's natural, and you can reproduce them there and then spray it instead of using chemicals. Yeah.
You said 4 gallons of the molasses, and what was the other?
Liquid fish.
Liquid fish?
Mm-hmm.
On the molasses, are you able to get a urea-free molasses?
We haven't been able to get it, but they told me that if you take your own truck to Lake Okeechobee, there is a place where you can get it. But I have been using it with urea. It's like a 3%, 2 or 3% urea molasses. And it works because what we are doing is feeding the bacteria, not the cows. I wouldn't give urea to cows. By the time it reaches the field, that 3% of urea in a gallon is a very small amount in I don't know, ounces of urea in an acre. And it becomes volatilized. It doesn't matter in this application. So the cost is very low, like $7–8 per acre. Especially if you inject it to the irrigation system as we do here. We have this injector pump that is a special injector pump that is big enough for the particles not to clog it. It has to be that type of pump. This is a positive displacement pump that moves the whole system, and this was sold to us by Sabino Cortez. That he's at eratearth.com. He's the inventor of this, and he told us everything how to do it. And this has been it has saved us from using any chemical fertilizer. Of course, places that we have applied compost at 5 tons per acre, we did some fields because I made like 200 tons of compost. They are much better in production than the places that we didn't apply any compost. But I'm going to show you how this was before we started, because we still have one field that we haven't taken the plastic off, and one field where we just did it last year in October, and the rest already have been in grazing for 2 years this month. So you can see the progress, how it goes. Yes.
How often do you use the compost to throw in the...
Yeah, Sabino told us to do it every 14 days,
14 days.
But we haven't been able to do that, so we are using it every 21 to 30 days in the winter. And in the summer, we didn't use it because you remember this past year, it was raining all the time. So we had so much forage that I didn't want to produce more. We were grazing the cows on, we have like 500 acres, 400 and some acres of pasture, and we only use 140 in the summer, rotationing. Because if we had used more, the grass would have gotten over mature, and we wanted the cows that were calving to get bred back, so we need a good nutrition in the summer for them. And so you need to restrict the area that you rotate through. So then put more compost extract to produce more. I didn't see the advantage of it. But as we grow up in cattle numbers, we will do it.
What is the criteria you use to, buy one machine or the other? Because I understand this is the big one, right? There's another small one. So how do you
mostly
make that?
The acreage you're going to to do with it. 400 acres, I would use the big machine. Under 100 acres, maybe the small one. But what the small machine doesn't have is the automatic box that we have here. That box controls the cycles on and off to have it irrigate every hour for 15 minutes. And the small one doesn't have that. So if you could add that thing in a big tank, you could buy the small one and make your own. But sometimes it's easier to buy the big one if you have enough acres. And now a word of caution, don't bring compost from far away. You have to make it in your own place or at least less than 40 miles away. So you have the native bacteria or microorganisms to your area. And don't buy compost extract made and shipped from far away because it requires oxygen. And if there's not enough oxygen, they will die and not do anything. The shelf life of compost extract, if you don't agitate it and don't aerate it, it's 1 or 2 days. 1 day. Yeah. We never let it stand for more than 1 day. Now you can spray it on your fields if it's raining, or you can apply it with an injector pump through the irrigation. It's more effective through the irrigation. But this year, being it's so rainy, we have applied it as a spray every 21, every 30 days. Yeah.
And during the hours to apply it, it's not just...
Yes, it's critical that it's moist with dew. So early in the morning from sunrise till around 10 and late in the evening. If you do it at midday, like right now, if you do it right now, it will evaporate. It's too late now. Now another thing, this winter it was cold and rainy. By it being so cold, we were not getting response from the compost extract. So it finally dawned on me that that the bacteria that feed the soil and the plants were not growing and reproducing. So I started applying calcium nitrate at the rate of 10 pounds per acre to wake up the bacteria, to feed them and make them grow and reproduce. And that worked. So that's why we have that back there. That's the calcium nitrate.
In a situation like this where you have a lot of sandy soil,
yeah,
you can still see the difference when you apply the compost extract to it,
Yes,
even without much organic matter?
Yes, we started with 1% organic matter. These were destroyed soils by chemicals. And even without that, the cation exchange capacity, which is the capacity to hold moisture and nutrients in these sandy soils, is from 3 to 8. By comparison, my ranch in Mexico has a 56, and it's exponential, like pH. So that means these soils, if it doesn't rain for 2 weeks, you have a mini drought. And if you don't apply the compost extract, you can see the grass turn yellow in some parts of the year. But by applying it, we will get eventually to a position where we don't need to apply so much, because those bacteria that become humus, they stay there. Humus doesn't go away. So even if it's sandy and it rains a lot, like the fertility, the true fertility, which is humus, doesn't go away if you don't invert the soil, if you don't do agriculture like that. By the way, this year we're going to start doing pasture cropping, and I want to try a new thing that they're doing in Australia, that is no-kill pasture cropping. So we're going to start that in May, to try and bridge the forage gap that we all have in good quality forage. It's lacking in December, January, November, December, and January. So we're going to try different things there, turnips and radishes. And maybe even alfalfa, I don't know, in fall. I already did some trials, so I think this will work. Now go back to the compost. Oh yeah, let me show you the pump that we used to inject, okay? This was the other pump that always clogged up, and we had to fix it every few weeks. And this is the one that is made for compost extract. It's a double piston, and it's made, I think, in New Mexico or Arizona, and doesn't give any trouble. So that's a good one. Okay, any questions about this part? Let me tell you how important it is. Without this, and that field back here, that was planted in ryegrass 2012. I came in April, and it never grew more than this high, and it died. And it was bare sand. And now, well, you can see it, now it's growing. So it's a difference from nothing to something, at least. And we planted some vegetables, just a small garden like here. And without the compost, the corn grew this high and died, and we didn't get anything. But then we started planting here where we were throwing the compost residue, and we started growing things. So now we're planting a small garden.
Is it personal, or how expensive is this system?
Yeah, this machine cost us $10,000. Yeah, but it's a big one.
What about our property? Is it
The small one.
small?
Yeah.
Do you know what they cost?
Yes. Well, no. I think it was 1,500 or 2,000, something like that. Yes.
And then you would need to add the pump to it.
If you were to irrigate. No, that's with the pump. It's complete. They sell it ready to go. Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't be irrigating.
Yeah, it had to be sprayed,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Let me tell you, we need this because we are in so poor soil and so bad conditions. Your place is not like this at all. It's much better. Your soil wasn't heavily herbicided for 22 years, twice a week, twice a month.
Right.
Here it was. And I remember seeing your soils, and at least what I saw when I was there, the chicken litter on the ryegrass, it was beautiful. And maybe that is more cost effective for you, because I think you can get chicken litter pretty cheap there, no? Yeah.
Well, the problem with our place is it's so wet. I wouldn't have been able to spray it anyway.
Right.
I just did get the chicken litter out.
You have to adapt. I mean, what I'm talking about here is our tools that you have in your toolbox, and you apply them when they are needed, but it's not for everyone. It might work for you, it might not, it depends on your situation. Because sometimes it's more cost effective just to use chicken litter and rotational grazing. If we didn't have this and we just did rotational grazing, we will eventually get to the same point, but it will take much longer. If we have a chicken litter instead of this, we will still get there, but it will take longer. Now, if we have chicken litter and this, we'll get a much higher result.
Because when you have a high density of cows grazing together, they are depositing a lot of manure on the soil.
Right.
Eventually it's going to turn into...
Right. For example, we have our herd, our beef herd is depositing upwards of 5 tons of manure per day and 2 to 3 tons of urine per day.
Oh, yeah.
So if we move them twice a day, it's evenly distributed. And then if we have enough... Hello, Leon. And come on this side, so I don't have to turn around. Hi.
I didn't.
Hi.
Sorry.
So if we have dung beetles that are recycling that manure into the soil, and before the nitrogen evaporates, then we can give a much higher efficiency of recycling the nutrients. And remember that cows have in their rumens all the microorganisms that the soil needs to be healthy. That's why we use for making the compost, we use manure from cows. That's the best one. I know that you can make it even from human waste, but it will not contain the same microorganisms that ruminants contain. And that's the fastest way. For example, chicken litter. Chicken litter will improve the soil by feeding it and some bacteria. But if you combine that with cows grazing, you get a much better result. So it's good to have different species, if possible. I remember you telling me in your place that where the chicken broilers were, how the grass grew, the same happens at Chad's. So when cows go there, they will love that.
You can tell.
But I'm going to show you where we were feeding hay to balance the roughage in the ryegrass. Where they deposited their urine and manure, and the ryegrass grew this big, they don't want to eat it because it's cows. If it was chickens, no problem. And the same with chickens and cows.
Right.
So maybe God created it that way for some reason, no? Yeah. Okay. Well, we should go and see the cows, okay? Moving them twice a day. This was each crown of this was divided in two, this way and this way. So I gave them 2 or 3 crowns per day. 4 days ago I was feeding them low quality bahia hay in that ring over there to balance the roughage of the ryegrass and clovers so they wouldn't get loose manure, liquid manure. But now it's gotten more mature, so I took it out. And here is what I was telling you about, that they refuse to eat where they deposited their manure and urine, like on this side. By the way, this is dung beetle activity. As it warms, we're going to get more and more. This is where the ring was the previous rotation, like 40 days ago, but they still will not eat the lush ryegrass and clover because it doesn't smell right for them, but to me that means that it's high in nitrates or very high in non-protein nitrogen. So they don't like that because it makes the grass taste sour instead of sweet, and they are like us, they have a sweet tooth. Because when it's sweet, that means high in energy. And the main objective in a cow's life is to get fat to survive to the next day. So that's what they want. So they're always looking for the portion of the grass that will help them to fatten. By the way, when we apply the compost extract, not only does it increases the production of the grass, it also stops the cows from eating the free choice cafeteria style minerals. And to me that means that they are getting their mineral needs met by the grass with the compost extract, when before they were eating a bag of mineral a day. So we really like it because we not only produce more, but we have a healthier cow with less cost. Because minerals are expensive. We put them out in a box for the cows to choose as the best way after putting it in the plant, because in the plant it's more available for the cow, more natural. So I will make a point of putting a pencil to it and see which is cheaper, feeding more minerals or applying compost extract and producing a better quality and balanced forage. It depends on every place, but that's what we see here. Every time we go we take the cows to the paddocks that are fertilized with compost extract, they stop eating minerals. In the last month, we haven't fed not one bag. So that's a savings. We have almost 400 animals total. Okay, could we walk over there?
Can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yes.
I was thinking about
Questions all the time, please. Yes.
Yeah. So you're moving these cows, and you have a big paddle like this. Of course, I understand you're moving every 2 hours or so.
Twice a day,
Twice.
right now. Yeah.
So how far can they come back? Because I see
Oh.
this is open here in the back. So there's a point where I would like to know, where do you have to shut it again? So
Yes, yes, of course. Like in this stage, you see the regrowth here? It has grown, you can see it here. It has grown this much in 2 days. From here to there, maybe 3 days. This is how much it has grown in 3 days. Once it grows double of this, then they can grasp it with their tongues. They bite with they don't bite, they roll their tongues around it and pull it. So when it first regrows, it's not so sweet, but it will get sweet in 2 more days. But by then, today at 12, they are going to be moved to another pasture.
Okay.
So no need.
So that depends on the growth of the grass.
Yes, because in summer, in 2 days it might be like this. Then you have to put a back fence. Yes, but it depends. It always, and we're going to talk about developing your grass eye to know all that. So this is the first part. Yeah.
So the other thing is, why are you moving these cows twice a day right now?
To try to have them evenly graze it. Come and see. Now every clump of this, if you go to it, it has a manure in it that creates a repugnancy area around it.
But for the next time, they will eat it.
This was deposited 40 days ago, but in winter we didn't have dung beetles. Now we have them. So the warmer it is, the more the dung beetles recycle everything. So this will disappear by next time. It won't be here. Then it won't create a repugnant area. So that's another reason why dung beetles help us. But if we worm the cows, or if we use a pesticide for the hornfly, that we have a lot of it right now, then we will kill the dung beetles. And when we kill the dung beetles, we reduce our forage production by 1/3 eventually. So it's not a good idea. And when you kill the dung beetles and they don't take the manure down, the hornfly reproduce faster. So it's a vicious cycle. Yeah, vicious cycle. And this I have experienced in Mexico, so I know. Okay, let's go to the cows. Look here. When you see every manure with some activity, that's good. Our first year here, we didn't have dung beetles. The cows came in April, and we saw the first dung beetles in October, a few. Then last year more, and I expect this year to be very good on dung beetles, because I started seeing the big ones, the tumblers. This is not the big one. The big ones, you see them rolling the balls. I saw them yesterday, the first time, 5 or 6. I took a picture. But we are giving it a longer recovery period. Since we are not using the chemical nitrogen, our recovery period is like 40 days, 35 days right now, when with nitrogen it will be 21 days. And then past rotation was like 45 days. So as it warms up, we need to go faster. So I have to be scouting the area and looking at regrowth and how fast it is, and then use the calculator to know how many acres I have, and if I give them so much per day, how long the rotation will be. And from previous experience, I can decide. But then it depends on hot days and rains, and so you have to be monitoring. Ven chiquita, ven preciosa. Ven, chiquita. These are tame. Not all of them. For example, this one is tame, this one sometimes. See the hornfly? we've been trying different approaches to control the hornfly. So have you heard about ectophyte? It's a natural repellent made from essential oils, but it's very expensive. So I called them and they say to spray it. So I did. It only lasted 1 day. So they told me, no, go to double the concentration, 1 gallon of ectophyte plus 4 gallons of vegetable oil. And hey, but ectophyte is expensive, almost $100 a gallon. So they told me, yeah, but it will last for 2 weeks. Okay, so I applied it yesterday evening. And I told him, I applied it.
1 gallon of ectophyte per, and then what with it?
4 gallons of vegetable oil, but they have hornfly again. So in Mexico, what I did was use a soap with water, because that will break the tension in the wings, and they fall to the ground and cannot take off. And when it's very hot, they eventually die. So that's my next step. I haven't found a way. I built that machine over there where I trained them to go through it. It has a 12-volt pump, and I have this remote control that I can turn it on and off. So the cows start to go through it, and if they stop, I turn it off. But they have the hornfly, so haven't found a cure yet.
Are these your 2-year-olds come June?
Yes, these are 2 years old. This in June and July. Come and we can find some steers here. This is a steer. Look at him. He was too big at birth. That's why we castrated him, because he will pass that on to their heifers.
And you think in this breed that the perfect time to harvest them will be 3-year-olds?
At least.
At least.
Any breed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand.
Because the flavor is so different.
Right.
I want you to try that ground meat. It's from a cow that was 17 years old.
Wow.
And it's very good tasting. She wasn't fat because she didn't have the back molars.
Right.
But she is very good tasting. Too bad that we didn't get the steaks, only ground beef.
Yes.
But I want to show you a very fat cow that didn't get bred.
Okay.
And she will be perfect for,
Harvest.
I want to show you.
Okay.
This one, come here and look at from behind at the pin bones. On this side, you have to move around, because if not, he will keep watering.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. See the pin bones?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if we kill an animal this young, the flavor will just not be there. Any breed. And that's the problem with American beef. They kill them too early in their lives, and they feed them to grow so fast with grain that they all taste bland. Have you read the book called Steak by Mark something? I have it in my house. It's so good. He traveled the world for the best steak, and he will say the best steak is an A+, and he had only tasted it once in his life. So he traveled to Japan for Kobe, to Scotland for Highlanders, and finally he found some very good ones, and they were grass-fed. And he tells the secrets to get there. And in Europe, they all complain that here in the United States they kill them too early and then don't hang them enough. So over there they do it the correct way, and the difference is amazing. Yeah. In Mexico, in my father's ranch, he fattened up 1,000 steers per year, and he would kill them when they were like 1,100 pounds average. So by then they were like 3.5 years old steers, but they were the best beef, and it was recognized in the whole of Mexico from that area, the Huastecas, that was the best beef, and it was totally grass-fed. That was 30 years ago. Now they changed to the American model with the feedlots, and now it's awful beef. Now this is very important for direct marketers. Now they're using a beta agonist in the feed of the feedlots, and that makes the gristle in the meat more, so it's tough to chew. It produces more lean beef at the expense of flavor and tenderness. So that's very good for direct marketers, very bad for the public having to eat that meat. And that's not going to go away. They are still doing it. So be sure to tell people that you don't have any beta agonists. And what it produces to the beef, because beef quality is going steadily down. When you go to a restaurant, it's difficult to buy a good steak. So difficult that I haven't tasted a good steak here in the United States in the last 3 years. Not one.
If there ain't chickens up to the house, would it help with your price?
Oh yes, yes. If we had I don't know, at least how many chickens will we need here, Chad, for this amount of cattle?
I run two different sets of chickens. The ones that follow my cattle, so about 45 head of cattle. I've got about 500 birds in that group.
So maybe here like 500 birds for this?
I'd say more than 500.
1,000. Yes, that's what I figured too. And I really want to put chickens here, but we are still trying to do that. I hope we can do that, because the hornfly is a real problem, and they suffer. They come to you and like beg you, please take them off. Look, if you do this, they like it. I mean. See? Because they bite, and they bite I don't know how many times a day.
Are those cattle machonas?
Yes, these are all machonas. We only have machonas. Look there. But this is the oil that we applied yesterday. Okay. I want to show you the fat cow. You know why they are all like this? Because of the hornfly. So they stop eating because of the hornfly. So it's really an important thing, that hornfly.
She's pretty fat.
Look at her from behind. I will stay here. Okay. See?
Mm-hmm.
So she's ready. That means her reproductive organs are covered with fat, so she will not breed. So she's like 12 years old, but she will be very good eating.
Did you pregnancy test your 2-year-olds?
No, I didn't, but I can see that one is pregnant. This one maybe, not sure. Since they are smaller, we decided not to.
I haven't either.
And anyway, they either give a calf or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, but she's pregnant.
yeah.
And some I saw the bull get yeah. I think around half of them are bred. Yeah. So we're
Give the others will you give them a chance?
oh yes. Because if they were not bred as yearlings, 15 months, they will get bred now as 2 years old, and they will calve at 3 years old. So yes, definitely. Especially since we still don't have everything, good quality soils and good forages.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
Because you had made comment about maybe harvest what did not
Oh,
receive.
yeah.
But I don't know that ours were in proper conditions, so I don't know, we might give them another chance.
Wait, let me tell you why. Yeah, everything depends. This is not white and black and white. This is the largest herd of machonas outside of Africa. In Zimbabwe, there are not good machonas left anymore. So this is the last. So I'm going to give them a chance. And eventually we'll get there, but not in the short future. It will take some years. And besides this, there is another way of thinking that feels that calving at 3 years of age is better for the cow and for the pocket, because you don't push them to gain faster, to calve at 2 years old, and you let them naturally calve at 3-year-old, and they live a longer life. So it makes some kind of sense to me.
But it doesn't depend also from the weight of the effort.
The weight, yes, but the weight depends on how well you feed it, and if it's a drought year or not. And if it's a drought year and you have your goal as calving as 2 years, then you feed it. That goes against your pocket. So sometimes you have to wait. Time, money. Sometimes you have more time than money, then you wait. You have more money than time, then you can push it.
As you say, it doesn't have to be white or black soil. That depends also from the grass and the soil you have.
And your personal preferences. Now, once you have a composite, because of their hybrid vigor, they can more easily calve as 2 years old. Instead of half of them calving as 2 years, maybe 80%. Then you select your bulls from those heifers that calve 2 years and calve again as 3 years. Well, that's why they are all bunched up. They will move at 12 to that paddock over there, which is very good. Or maybe at 12 or after lunch, I don't know. I won't do it. Okay, let's go.
I love their heightened herding instinct.
Oh, they have a very high herd instinct, yes, yes. They never separate. If they were to get lost, when you find one, you find them all. They don't separate. Now it's important to keep that herding instinct going. If you don't treat them right, like right now, you see they are very calm, and that's low stress. If you treat them high stress, they will run like goats. You see goats run, when you press them, they go like this, and sheep, they go together. You can either have a sheep cattle or goat cattle. Yeah. Depends on your management. But this breed has a higher instinct than most. Yeah. Oh, you want to see the mineral feeder? You have it. You have it.
I have it.
You know it, right? Okay. They were going to see it. Oh, some very important thing about the water. Come here. Our water is very high in sulfur and iron. And iron interferes with selenium and zinc. So if the cattle are deficient in sulfur, selenium, and zinc, they will get more hornfly. So what I'm doing is I add a half a cup of chlorine bleach. That is like a 3.5% sodium hypochlorite. And that way the sulfur, by the water being oxygenated by the sodium hypochlorite, it evaporates, and the iron precipitates. So then the cattle can drink cleaner water. And people get worried about the chlorine, but common salt is sodium chloride. So by adding half a cup of bleach, it's like I was adding half a teaspoon of salt. And half a teaspoon of salt twice a day, I do it twice a day for this herd. That's a few grains of salt per animal. So it's just looking at it a different way.
But in the culture in Mexico, I know that you use chloro to clean the food and everything, and even to drinking water.
Yeah, well, even here, they use chlorine to chlorinate the water to kill bacteria. What we do it here for is to not only to keep it clean of algae, because it does that also, but to precipitate the iron and to evaporate the sulfur, because it's a sulfur. What's the name? That it smells like rotten eggs, but now it doesn't smell nothing. But if you don't put that, it smells. So twice a day, when I move them, I pour half a cup. Very cheap. A gallon costs around $2 and lasts me a week. So very cheap.
How many heifers do you have there?
Oh, I think it's 56. Yeah. Yeah. And 160 cows and 22 steers. Yeah, you see how he walks, and she has the jaw. We have a steer that only one testicle descended, So we caught him, but we didn't get the other one. So eventually he got that cow out of season. So that cow called in December, and that's the, yeah. It won't happen again, but I was sure that the testicle that didn't descend wasn't going to be fertile, but it was.
So for this kind of production, when you have different kinds of animals, how do you handle it? You try to separate them by the condition, like cows and heifers?
No. The less herds you have, the easier it is for you to manage the grass correctly, because then you don't only have to concentrate on one rotation instead of many. So what I do, I keep them in one herd as much as possible. Right now, due to the breeding season coming in August, September, and first part of October, I have to keep the bulls separate. So when we wean the calves, the bull calves go with the bulls, and the heifer calves and steer calves are in another group, because if not, they will drink the colostrum from the cows when they are calving the new babies. Once the new babies are born, I can put them back, but then the bulls are going to be with them. And I don't want the big bulls, the fathers of the heifers, to breed their daughters. So I'm going to put those heifers with yearling bulls separate in the breeding season. And after the breeding season, I put them all together, and I just take the bulls out. And they keep in one group for the whole winter until I wean again next March.
So in other words, they can be together as long as these problems are solved.
Yeah.
No problem in mixing everything.
I don't see any problem unless you're at a very high stocking rate and you want to finish animals like those heifers. Then I will have them graze in front of the group. For example, if we are grazing here right now, where would this group be in 15 days? Well, they're going to be over there. Okay, then those heifers that I want them to fatten faster, I will put them over there at a low stocking rate, open, so they can select the best. And then the rest of the herd will come after to clean up, and they will be moved at the same speed, so they are always 15 days ahead. Then you get, that's when you have an abundance of forage. Then you get very high gains on them, and you still get good performance on the follower group. Don't put them side by side, because then the manure, the smell of the manure, they won't like it. So at least 15 days. And in summer it's better, because then the dung beetles are working.
And how much do you reduce the density, like half or even less than that?
No, much less.
Much less. Like
Much less. For example, 50 heifers and 20 to 70 fattening animals. I will only put the steers in this case, but let's say you put 50 animals to finish, and you have 300 or 280 behind. So the 50 have a much bigger area to select. That's the only time when selective grazing, well, not the only time. Sometimes you can use selective grazing. It's another tool that you use it when it's applicable. Appropriate. Yes. Thank you. Okay. More questions? I like questions.
Rotating your weaned calves, or are they in a big pasture?
No, I am rotating them. I am moving them once a day only. And right now, I had them on a part of ryegrass, but it didn't grow back fast enough. So I took them to Bahia grass, even though I know that they will take 7 days to adjust to the change, back and forth. So that's 14 days. But I remember something I read in André Boissan's book, Grassland Productivity, that when you have to decide between what's good for the grass and what's good for the cattle, always do what's good for the grass. Really? Yeah, because the grass will feed the cattle. So that's your main source, and that's why we are really grass farmers and not cattlemen.
I am a little bit confused about this idea of moving these cows twice a day, because I remember last time I was here, You were moving them like every 2 hours.
4 times a day.
Yeah, why this difference now?
Yeah. When you were here last time, we were under ultra high density grazing of stockpile, which is low quality forage. And was that true, or were they on this grass? If it was bahia and it was old bahia, you need to do it that way, or they will just trample it and not eat it. If you give them the less moves you do a day, the more they leave behind, because they drag their feet, and there is a repugnancy when they step on manure and they drag it on the grass. They don't want to eat it. So the more frequently you can move them, the better. Now, when it's high quality like this, there is no need for that. We could force them to eat those patches if we move them more frequently. But I don't see any need now, because we have enough forage and more growth is coming because of the warming season.
In that case, did you use the same size of the paddock, or you use a smaller paddock when you move?
Much smaller.
Much smaller.
Yeah, because I give them like half an acre sometimes, or an acre, instead of right now this is like an acre and a half. Maybe when you came, they were on this, but we were rationing it because it still wasn't ready. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And
You
okay,
didn't have much grass.
yeah, when you're rationing it, then it makes sense to move them more frequently, to keep them. You see, the bacteria in the rumen have to be fed the same quality all the time for them to be efficient. So if you move them less frequently, and it's no, that's for stockpile. Oh yeah, we were changing from stockpile to this, so I did that just to get them used to it. Yeah, and I was feeding them hay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might think it was right here. actually.
Okay, so that was 45 days ago. Yeah. Okay. That was why. Another reason why I don't worry about these clumps. You see the dung, this dog fennel. You know this? Well, this has a toxic compound. You can smells like strange. I didn't know it has a toxic compound that the cattle won't eat it because it's toxic. They tell me that sheep may eat it, but I don't know. So what we do is we mow it with the mower, but not every rotation, only when it's needed. So next time it's going to be like this, so then I'm going to mow it. And then in summer, when we do the fast rotation, when they are calving and breeding, then I mow more frequently to kill it, because this dog fennel can be set back if you mow it in July, August, when it's very hot. I didn't know that. I learned that here. So it works. I'm going to show you pictures of how this was. Dog fennel was this high, and this was bare sand and a few plants of grass. But it was a forest of dog fennel. And we got rid of it this way, by mowing.
Did you turn this field when you planted rye this year?
We disc it lightly 1 or 2 times, and that's it. And then we broadcast the seed, and then we roll it with a roller. Yeah. But we're buying a drill to do no-till drill, but I think that will work mostly for summer, for cowpeas and hairy indigo, and maybe turnips. But I don't think it will work well with ryegrass and clovers. And I think we will still need to disc. You have to look at an average. See that one over there? This will be a little too dry, but we are just changing from. I was feeding 2 bales a day of hay. Then I went down to 1, and then nothing now for the last 4 days. So it takes time to adjust to any change. Yeah. The rumen is a batch system where everything comes in, and the cow regurgitates and chews their cud, ruminate, and then it goes to the next stomach. So the culture to digest the fiber or what's going in needs to adapt to the next change. And it takes like from 3 to 7 days, every change. Chip are the same. With so much rain, it's hard to find hay. So much rain last year, people didn't put up.
I still have some left from the winter.
Oh, okay. Now it's supposed to rain again on Monday and Tuesday, and then again next Saturday. So if it keeps raining, all this will be very easy. But if it stops raining, then... And the rainy season is supposed to start in May, no?
First week that we've been able to walk without rubber boots.
I know. I was there really, boy. They live in a swamp, or near a swamp.
Yes. Hawthorne, it's near Gainesville.
But it's very good soil. And when it's dry, I bet you get a lot of grass.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Well, it moves easy, see? So you can take it with the ATV.
Do you leave the net on it or take it off?
Oh, I take it off because if they eat the net,
Well, I
Not
knew
good.
that, but I just didn't know that the hay would go with it. I didn't know the hay would follow that hay ring unwrapped. It will?
oh, no. You position this and then you put the hay in.
Right.
Do you have something to put it on? Oh, okay.
It will move even unwrapped. It will move. When you unwrap the hay,
Wait.
put it in there.
I put it once a day and they finish it before I move it again.
Oh, okay. You move
If
it in.
they haven't finished it, I leave this open, see? Until they finish it, I don't move it. Because if I move it with the hay in, by the time I get there, there won't be any hay in here.
Okay. That's what I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
I thought you were moving it with hay in it.
Well, see, this is very lightweight and easy. We're going to talk about developing your grass eye. Here I am judging the size to give. This has less days of regrowth, only like 28 or 30 days. But I am going to graze it right now in this rotation just to put it into the rotation, because this is where I weaned the bull calves 28 days ago. So I'm going to graze it and see the size I am giving. It's bigger than over there, larger, but it has less grass. The height is shorter, but it's more dense. If you walk in parts it's more dense, in parts it's less. Now my saving grace, if I make any mistake, which I will always do mistakes, is that I can give them a next break. So my plan here is to give them 1-2 breaks, and that will be enough. But if it's not enough, I give them a third break. And that's it.
So that's for half a day?
Yes. For that herd. So after a week, you get a feeling of how big you have to give it to them to take it down and be full in the evening. They have to be full, like heavy, and calm and happy. When you can get it with them and you pet them like today, that means they are full. I moved them earlier. But if they weren't full, they will be bawling. Yeah. So it's important to watch their behavior, and this is more or less the size on this part. When you have help and you tell them, oh, give them such and such size, and you go on a vacation or something, they need to learn this, because if not, you come back and they are gaunt and not full. So you need to be flexible. Now I want to show you another one where they're going to go after this. After this, they go to this little one here, which they will graze like in an hour or half an hour. And then they go to the big paddock over there. This one on this side, that's number 2, south. That one is not ready for grazing. If I was to graze it right now, I will set it back. It has the same time of recovery as this, but it has not had compost applied. And this has had compost extract applied for almost 2 years, and that one has had compost extract applied only this year. So that's the difference. This field is called number 1. More forage is here. But our treatment here last year, we didn't apply any compost, and it was a very poor field. When we started, this was one of the poorest fields because they applied more herbicide here, and duck fennel was huge. What we did here is plant hairy indigo. If you came last year, you remember this was with hairy indigo, and this was the best place. It was this high. So after grazing it, stockpiled, we grazed it off by November, end of November. This was grazed off in small sections, taking it all down to the ground. Then we disc it once and we spread the seed, and this is the result. So there are many tools. It's not only compost or compost extract, which we have applied here, but also the legumes. Hairy indigo is one of the best ones for that here because it has no much pests. It's very low cost, the seed, and it produces a lot of forage and nitrogen and biomass for the soil.
How many protein are we talking about?
It's around 24% protein. Yeah. But you have to graze it before the first frost because frost will kill the leaves and they fall down. So you want to graze it off like from October to the end of November. And since we are moving the cows that way, we were preparing the soil, disking and planting behind the cows. And that's how we got so much planted. You don't want to plant your winter annuals all at once because they will be ready for grazing all at once. You want to do it behind the cows. Okay, let's go. Okay, this was grazed like, let me see, 14 days ago, something like that. We took the handles off because the cows open them with their, they learn how to open them, so they get a water fountain to cool off, or I don't know, they just play. This is the quick coupler that I was talking about. You open this and it comes off. And this is a 3-inch hard hose plastic polyduct. And it's cut in 150 feet length with another quick coupler to hook them off all together. So we can move the short pieces with the ATB, easy. And then we hook them up. And we start from the end and come backwards, or we can start from here and add sections. So we irrigate one side, then the other side. Depends on how the wind is blowing. Now it is very important when you irrigate in Florida conditions that your drops, the water droplets are not very fine, so the wind doesn't take it away, and the sun doesn't evaporate it before it hits the soil. Now, why do we irrigate with pressurized system? Because if you see, we have crowns and swales because this was a nursery. If not, we could do other types of irrigation like flood flow from Australia, which is much more efficient. But for pressurized system, this is the cheapest and more efficient one for this environment conditions. We work at the 40 pounds of pressure. Instead of, if it was a traveling gun, it will need like 100, 120 pounds of pressure. That means the energy consumed will be double to irrigate a given acre. If we use the K-lined system with the small pots, the drops will be so small that up to 80% of it will be evaporated. With this, we get like a 80–85% efficiency. And when it's very hot and in the summer and with strong winds, that becomes very important. You have to design an irrigation system with the worst scenario in mind, which will be the hottest and windiest day of the year. And then you go from there. Then you have to take into account the weekends, breakdowns, and you have to build some sort of pressure release on the system, so when something happens, unforeseen things, you can catch up. Because if you don't catch up when it gets very hot, you will never catch up and you will not have enough grass. And if you have this as a drought insurance and you don't plan ahead, you won't have anything to feed your cows. Now, irrigation may seem expensive, and it is if you don't do it right. In the summer, an acre of irrigated Bermuda or Bahia with the compost extract can carry easy 3 to 4 cows per acre in the summer. The fact that we are irrigating in the winter is because we developed this for use in the summer, and we can also use it in the winter. But it's not the most profitable way of doing irrigation. The most profitable is in the summer, because if you can have 3 cows per acre, you only need to irrigate 100 acres to carry 300 cows. Then you can let the rest of the property stockpile for the winter. And that way you can up your carrying capacity, which is the main determinant of profit in any ranch. But here it rains in the summer, most summers, so.
Would it help with the efficiency if you did it at night, not during the day?
Yeah, we do it at night. It's more efficient at night because no evaporation and less wind normally. But to make this work, any machinery that you own, and this will be considered machinery, needs to be used the most to be more cost efficient. So if you only irrigate at night, you need so much more capacity that because you have less hours or time to irrigate, that it becomes very expensive. So when you design it, for example, if we were to irrigate only at night instead of a 6-inch pipe, we will need an 8-inch pipe. So that's double the price for the pipe. Then the pump. Instead of a 60 horsepower pump, we will need a 120 horsepower pump. And our limiting factor here is not so much the water, but the electricity and the cost of the installation.
How does the pipe do with the sunlight?
This one, I have used this for 17 years now in Mexico, and they have lasted well. Yeah, they say that they last 15 years. It's a lightweight and it's cheap compared to other options. I would like to go close to the gun so you can see it. You see the Bermuda is already coming in. So if we don't get a frost, it will be a neat transition from winter annuals to summer perennial without having to do anything. So by disking it, you don't kill the Bermuda and the Bahia. It actually improves if you don't disc it too deep. Remember that in the soil, at the top 4 inches is aerobic bacteria, and then the bottom, the next inches are anaerobic. When you invert it, you kill both, but when you only disc the top 4 inches, you don't kill it. And we do it in the fall, not in summer, because then it won't be good for the organic matter, which combusts or evaporates over 85 degrees. So we only do it in the winter most. By summer, I want this all covered. I don't want it like this. This needs a little more pressure. Right now it's too low because we have one pump is, not the pump, but the electronic control is broken. So we're waiting for the replacement part. So we're only using one pump, and instead of 11 guns, we have 12 or 13. So that's why it's falling mostly on the end. But it needs to break off into droplets around 5 feet from here. And it's going like 9 feet. And this is a very simple mechanism. It's just like a mechanical one, mechanical arm. The less moving part, the better. So the hose is not moving. When you have those that reel the reels, you have a lot of problems. I had both. I have used them. When you have a center pivot, it breaks down a lot and you cannot have trees. And here we want to plant rows of trees to increase biodiversity. Okay, so this is it. This is an F100 Nelson gun on an aluminum tripod with a 1/2 inch nozzle. So it's the simplest one that you can buy. Okay. No, I planted clover, and this clover should grow very nice from now on till June. It grows all the way till mid-June, end of June. It doesn't do well in the cold, but I planted so when the ryegrass starts to fade out, first thing that is ready for grazing is the cereal rye. Then after the cereal rye is the ryegrass, and then comes the clover, and by then it's mixed with the Bermuda and Bahia. Okay, this is a white clover. This is white clover, planted 2011, and it perenniated through the summer, but it's Osceola white clover. And if you, this is like 16 days regrowth, so it's not ready for grazing. I don't want to graze it till it's all in bloom, because if not, it can be up to 32% protein. And even though it's very high in energy, 32% protein is like a concentrate. So when we graze this, I have to put some hay to prevent bloat and to balance the protein to energy ratio for the cattle to be more efficient.
Do you have to specifically feed hay, or can you feed it alongside like stockpile?
I have done both, but with stockpile, sometimes it's not right here. They have to walk. And when they have to walk, they try to come to the clover, and they don't want to go over there. So you force them to go over there, and then you stand there at the gate bawling. And next morning they are ready to run here. And then the same process. So after 2 weeks of that, I noticed that they weren't gaining. Right. So next year, this winter, I started feeding the hay. And then everything started to come together. So in paper it sounds good to take them back and forth. In reality, they don't like it. And when they don't like it, it doesn't work. Cattle have their own speed and way of doing things. And we have to adjust to them, not them to us.
I already had new plans for my hay barn and wasn't holding hay anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you something. I was feeding the cows corner post, 4 bags a day. How much is that in money? Like, let's say $100. A bale of hay is $30, the small ones, outside, not in the barn. So by feeding 1 bale of hay, $30 against $100, well, it depends. Sometimes it's better to feed the corn post, sometimes, like right now, it makes more sense to feed the hay. And right now, I don't feed nothing. But 4 days ago, I was feeding the hay. So it depends. Sometimes, like any supplement, sometimes you use it, sometimes no. Now, that's $30 divided in 250 animals, or 280 animals. So it's very low cost. So yes, I even taped a DVD called Hayless Winters in Florida. Yeah, but sometimes it makes sense to feed some hay. Like this winter, it was so rainy and cold that the stockpile, the cows make more mud. And that's a challenge. So if you feed some hay to extend that a little, you get it better. Then when it dries, you take the hay out, or I don't know. What's your experience with that?
Where they did really rough up the field, it's coming back beautifully.
Yes.
I wished it was better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. So we need to adjust. We cannot be set in stone in anything. You have to be planning. It's important to plan, because he who fails to plan plans to fail. And then you have to monitor because conditions change. Sometimes we don't know why, but it changes. And then we need to replant. That's the way it is.
I know for our stockpile this year, I started out with your numbers on the amount of supplement to feed along the stockpile, and that wasn't near enough for some reason for my cows. I was about double what you were feeding in supplementation.
In cottonseed meal or in flaxseed meal?
Both. Because I transitioned halfway through because I wanted to experiment with both and see which one I liked the most. But both of them, I had to feed a whole lot more than...
I have like 200 bags of cottonseed meal left that I am willing to swap or sell or whatever. I don't like cottonseed meal anymore. Now I tried it for a few months, and the difference between flaxseed meal and cottonseed meal is huge in the cattle.
When we first transitioned, the Mashona bulls, they wouldn't eat it. They were like, I don't want that cottonseed meal.
Yeah.
Where's the linseed bin?
Yeah. No, and the chine and everything is different.
Right.
So I like it better. Well, this is what I wanted to show. Why did it? This was the last we took the plastic off 2011 and planted it to white clover and ryegrass, but only the white clover persisted, and I think it's because it's so low in nitrogen, the soil, that the white clover that can fix the nitrogen persists better. And eventually it will fix enough nitrogen for grasses to come in, but I don't know. It's been a year now and just clover mostly. Okay, let's go and see the bulls. That's our best bull is the one in the back. He's 9 years old. And
How many kilos?
I don't know. Let's get close and you can... Paso Ronquito. When they get to 1 year of age in June, July, we weigh them, measure them at the hip, and from there we get their predicted mature weight. We divide the actual weight by the predicted mature weight, and we get a percentage of mature weight attained at 1 year of age. The one that is more mature relative to its weight at 1 year of age will be the best bull. So we rank them. And we say, well, we need, for example, we need 6 bulls, okay, and we have 20, so we sell the rest and we keep the 6 best. But all these that are going to be 2-year-old, we can use them, and we have 9 of them.
How are you gonna do? They're gonna breed their mother or?
Their daughter, no, because the daughters, they are separate. The sisters, no problem. The mother is a very low probability because it's 1 bull and 1 mother in 160 females. So it's not easy, but it may happen. That's how it happens in nature. They don't separate the mothers and the... But by selecting for the best body condition under natural conditions without chemicals and vaccines and supplements, and we do supplement this, but I mean no grain. We don't feed them any grain, and we have to supplement them here because the grass is so poor. If you see it here, it's really poor. If not, we wouldn't. So by selecting the ones that have the best conformation and the best maturity attained at 1 year of age, we can be sure that the offspring from them will have good body condition, which is the main requisite for fertility. And that also means that they're going to finish early off of forage without need for grain. So that's why we're selecting this way.
Who's your best 2-year-old here, Tim?
17. He went over there. This one is good too.
I was looking at 21 now.
Yeah, but the best one is 17.
Is that the one you put on Facebook?
No.
You put one on Facebook.
Yeah, but that's one we sold to Byron Stewart in Orlando.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But he fed him extremely well. My grandfather had a saying, that the class of the animal came through the mouth. Yeah. something like that. In Spanish it's easier. In Spanish it means lo fino entra por la boca. In English, I don't know. Well, so that's it. Now, by selecting this way, that bull, the oldest one, he gave us this offspring. Like 80% of them are his sons, because he's the dominant male. And since he has a good rump and short and good 8-in-5 package, his sons are very good. So we have one that is the best Machona we have ever seen. It's a 159, he's right here. He has a good rump and he has everything correct. So the best way would be to take semen out of that bull and impregnate all the herd to advance faster. That's how progress can be made faster. And if not, use him on as many females as possible and select his sons to keep on doing it. When you select this way, it's like line breeding, but without calling it line breeding, because the families that excel in certain areas that we look for will be the ones to reproduce. And we call it natural accelerated selection. And it's different than the way other people select, but it makes more sense, and it's like nature does in the wild. Any questions about? This is not the winter annuals talk, but I went sidetracked. But it's very important, because if you want harmony between your cattle and your grass, and you select the way people do for taller cattle that require grain to get fat, you will not have harmony. You will have a headache all the time. Yeah. If you have the correct genetics, then it becomes easier and more pleasant to ranch in this environment.